Welcome to Along with Tracy and Sierra. I'm Sierra, a millennial.
And I'm Tracy, a baby boomer.
And on this show, we are not afraid to talk about age and, how it changes things along the way. So come along today because we are talking all things beauty. Tracy, I feel like this topic is really near and dear to my heart right now because I just turned 35 not too long ago. And I'm starting to try and figure out how I want to deal with aging. Like, do I want to go out kicking and screaming and resisting every wrinkle that could possibly show up on my face? Or do I want to take the demure route and try and age gracefully and try to accept it and come to peace with this idea that I'm not always going to look like this? I don't know. When we were starting to talk about today's episode, I first told you that I wanted to talk about some things that I saw on Skin Talk. And do you remember what you said?
Oh, yeah, I remember. What is Skin Talk? Yeah. I had no clue.
Which I think really sets up kind of where we're coming from in our perspectives of this episode today. And so for our listeners who aren't big TikTok consumers, Skin Talk is an algorithm within TikTok. It's just like this beauty subculture. And once you're on this algorithm, you just get fed so much beauty and skincare content. And I guess the algorithm has decided that I am old because now mine is full of anti-aging. And that's fine. I have been concerned with this whole anti-aging thing and I guess aging in general for a while. So I'm not really upset about that. But what I am upset about is the fact that the people on there are not like 30 and 40-year-olds. These are like 20-year-olds and teenagers that are on this now. And I'm shook because I don't think I really thought about aging in my 20s. Like, don't get me wrong. I wore sunscreen just because I was told that's what you should do to prevent wrinkles and stuff. But I wasn't really thinking about Botox or fillers or any of these procedures or wearing a retinol. I don't know. When did you start caring about this, Tracy?
I'm just taking in everything you just said because we didn't even have, those weren't even in our thoughts. Of course, when I was in my 20s and 30s, I mean, it is so clear that times have changed. We were thinking about, I guess we were thinking about lipstick and just sort of just Yardley lipstick. We loved Yardley and Twiggy and that kind of stuff. But obviously there was no Botox.
Right. There was like no preventative, right? It was like you deal with it when it comes around.
That's kind of how we did it. And we just lived life. We really did. It's so weird to think about how things have changed and how young people are thinking of aging. And
so open about it too, because to be honest, I think the other thing that I'm noticing is like, they're not just talking about a retinol cream because that's what I remember when I was like 20 years old, looking at, Olay commercials of like women in their 30s and 40s finally like using a retinol cream or something like that. And that was kind of the age that I thought that you were supposed to kind of turn on this switch and think, okay, now my skin is different and I'm supposed to treat it differently. And that's really honestly when I thought that was going to happen. But to see these 20-year-olds not just talking about putting like retinols on, they're talking about procedures like baby Botox. Are you familiar with the term baby Botox?
No. Okay. That's like a first thing for me too. And you know what's so, just listening to you, Sierra, I'm thinking about even today for women my age, older, okay, I admit it. It's always younger women, too, that are talking about whatever treatment there is for us.
Yeah.
I don't usually see women my age when they say, this latest skin treatment. It's always a 20-year-old.
Oh, interesting.
So it's like, where are the women my age that are dealing with the wrinkles and all of that? Show us that. Show us how they can improve.
Yeah. Okay, so I was reading this article the other day, and I'm going to read straight from this. It says that the number of Gen Z, ages 20 to 29, and young millennials, ages 30 to 39 patients, was up 8% for procedures like Botox last year. Isn't that kind of crazy? Like, the fact that those age groups are probably where it's growing the most. And you're right. I don't know that there's a lot of conversation about like once you have quote unquote mature skin, What procedure?
I guess I have very mature skin now.
How do you feel about that term, mature skin, though?
Absolutely.
It feels rude.
It feels rude, my favorite word. And mature skin. I feel like I'm so far gone. I hate to be a Debbie Downer because I really don't view it that way. But with all that we're told and all the algorithms, it's like I feel like we're in this race and we're way behind. And all the young people are almost to the finish line, and they're just those top runners.
They're getting a head start.
Absolutely.
It's like they were like 4 blocks ahead.
And I am a little jealous. I mean, I wish I had started. I mean, wish we had that in a way. But then again, I don't know. I mean, is it a good thing to be doing Botox when you're 25?
Well, okay, so I feel like there is a lot of conversation about when you should start. Baby Botox, I heard about baby Botox in my 20s, but I kind of laughed it off because it does kind of seem ridiculous. So the way that Botox works is it's called a neuromodulator, right? And so it freezes the muscles. I'm going to get this wrong because I'm not a dermatologist, but it freezes the muscles in a way that where you just don't create a deeper line. Unlike filler that you're like filling in a space, it's not necessarily going to do that. It's going to freeze and sort of over time lessen like the deepness of like specific lines. So the idea of baby Botox is supposed to be that you do it early so you never create the big crease. And so I've heard of a lot of 20-year-olds doing this, but to me it kind of just seems like it's expensive. It's like $400 a session on average for Botox. Like to start that in your 20s, that seems like a really expensive habit. I don't know a single 20-year-old that can afford that. Like truly afford that. We're not talking like selling feet pics to afford it.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what, Sierra, I keep thinking about since all this started happening is what are they going to look like 30 years from now from doing Botox that long? I do have a friend who's my age, who's a millennial. See, I want to say millennial. Who's a baby boomer, and she's been doing Botox for probably 15 years.
And does she look
She
good?
loves it. She loves it, swears by it.
Yeah.
But I think I'm too late for the Botox because I already have the creases. That's why I wear the bangs.
So I do think maybe I'd have to get a dermatologist on here to say this, but like I do think that it can help like soften creases, but it's not going to get rid of them completely. Like if you already have them. In fact, I would argue that it probably isn't going to like even 100% prevent them. Like you'll probably just have fewer depressions or something like that of like the density of it. I'm not using the right terms for this, but you understand what I'm saying. But yeah, I mean, I don't know that like Botox is a like complete savior for anything anyway. Like eventually you're probably going to age, and you're right, it's just going to look different. What really scares me though is the filler, because the filler, like after a while you keep doing that over and over and over again, and eventually that stuff just starts sort of like spreading throughout your face. And
okay, well, I was just going to say, I just wonder, in a way, is it kind of nature's way of getting back at us for doing this stuff when you do too much and it distorts your face? I mean, we don't know. It's a rhetorical question, but I keep thinking about that.
Yeah, I mean, I do often wonder sometimes too, like, do people ever wonder who do it a lot, like, what they would look like if they didn't? Like, is that ever
Now, there's a talk.
Like a what if?
There's a new talk. I don't know what you'd call it instead of skin talk, but for the people who've used it, and then what they would look like if they actually aged
like a
naturally.
filter.
I don't think people would even want to do that.
I don't. Yeah, it would be like the filter that shows you plus 20 years. Like that. Have you seen that filter, the age filter?
Oh, I think so, yeah.
It's cruel. I wouldn't recommend using it.
No,
it's
I
really
won't.
Cruel.
Absolutely not.
But I will say, okay, have you seen the trend that was around not too long ago where they were saying that Gen Z is aging like milk and millennials are aging like a fine wine? And I think it's because of this. I think it's because like Gen Z, I mean, like, when you're 20, you really don't need that much done. But I do think that there is like this subculture that's going on right now that like you have to fix something that doesn't even exist yet. It's like we're making aging a problem before it's actually started to show up.
And how much you think that it's social media? Obviously, that plays a huge part. Everybody's comparing themselves.
Yeah, agreed. Well, I mean, it's hard not to, because how many people are just constantly, even if they're not posting it on social media, taking selfies of themselves, or looking in the mirror, or even just like looking at themselves in their phone to like check what they look like. I think we're just all so hyper aware of our image in a way that was probably not the case, 10, 20 years ago.
And that's exhausting.
It is. I mean, honestly, like COVID was great to like not leave your house and not really care about what people could see. Like that was awesome. Can we bring that back? But I mean, I don't know. I'm not somebody, I care about my image for sure. I would be a lie to say that I didn't care about my image, but I feel really thankful that I'm not someone that is on social media like a traditional influencer that's constantly like in front of a camera, because I really do think that would mess with my head to constantly be capturing myself on social media for other people to see, and therefore like caring every single moment of the day how that's coming off on a camera. Like that seems exhausting.
And what does it do for us on the inside? Do we neglect that part? Can we get that extreme and that focused, hyper-focused? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, totally.
But I would say we probably do.
Well, yes. I mean, maybe that's what's feeding all of this, right? Because the more that people live their life on social media, which has definitely... I mean, when was Instagram founded? Instagram was founded like around like 2011 or something like that. And even then it was not, I mean, I would argue that's probably right around the time that like the selfie became like a popular thing, to post a picture of yourself with that front facing camera on the iPhone. And then look at how much we've changed since then, that people are just posting their whole lives vlog style on there. So yeah, I mean, I have to imagine that if everybody suddenly is a personality on social media, then everybody's going to start caring about what they look like in a very different way than it was 10 years ago, probably.
And Sierra, I heard that there's a bit of the pendulum is swinging back a little bit, where people aren't doing like the CapCut filters and all that, which, by the way, I just found out about CapCut not too long ago, and wow.
Yeah. The editing,
it's pretty amazing.
Power of editing.
But I heard that some people are just trying to go back to being more natural looking. Is that true? Do you think?
I don't know. I will say though, okay, on one hand, yes, I do think that people don't love the filter look anymore, but filters are getting a lot better. Like it used to be that a filter made you look like a Kardashian, and now they still do have those filters, but there are also filters that you can put on just like when you're recording a general like TikTok or Instagram or whatever, that just gives you like a nice little blur effect that just makes you look a little bit better. So I think people are I would argue people are probably drifting away from the really intense filter that makes you look like you have a full face of makeup on, that makes you look like a full set of false lashes or something. But I think people are still using filters in the sense of just making them look a little bit better.
And the thing is, you have to go out in real life. You do the filters, and what happens then?
Well, I think that's what's happening is people are trying to look like filters, and hence all the procedures.
Exactly. And maybe they're going to devise something where you're going to walk around and somehow you'll have a filter. Like I don't know what it would be, but you could have a permanent filter going on.
Right. But then so here's the thing though, because what is natural anymore? Because from your generation, like when did you start using retinol? Or serums in general?
Probably 50-ish.
Okay.
I can't believe that's before now. I have to say, it's so freaky. It really is. And looking at you as a millennial and talking about all this, it's like time just goes so fast. That's another subject.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably in my 50s started using retinol, but not obsessively.
Okay. And have you had like any procedures done, like lasers or anything?
I did Botox for a New York minute, and it just didn't really work because I'm too far gone, I think.
How old were you when you started Botox?
I did it once, maybe 10 years ago.
Okay.
I'm kind of where you are in a way, where I don't know what to do. I figured just, use bangs, cover my forehead.
You're just going to hide. Eventually, you're going to be one big scarf.
Sunglasses.
Like this.
And no close-ups. But I don't, you know, I have to say, my mom being 95, no work done, lots of wrinkles.
Yeah.
Still looks good because it's energy. There's something about it.
There's something about it.
And so all of these treatments, I think they kind of tamp down your energy on your face. They make you look sometimes like a deer in the headlights.
Well, they certainly take away your expression.
So what does
you
that
can tell
do?
when someone has way too much Botox. There are a few people that I see on TV, specifically news anchors. I will not name any networks or names, but sometimes you can see when someone has way too much Botox done because their forehead isn't moving. And I'm like, you are saying a really serious thing right now. I need your forehead to move. I need a little bit of some movement to see an expression beyond just like stone face when you're delivering something to me. But I mean, I agree with you. I do think it sort of like too much can take the life out, right?
Exactly.
And make you completely expressionless.
I do have something, though, I've just remembered. I mean, I use it every day, so I didn't forget about it, but I wanted to share it, is castor oil. And because I'm on YouTube and following the different people, and I think, I do retinol, those two things, and I think they've made a difference. Now people are going to be looking and going, "Wow, really?" Except, and this is what this is another way that I do my beauty techniques is this. Just because it is all about the neck. I mean, it is. You could just wait.
Oh,
it is about the neck. I never thought about the neck until not that much.
Oh, I started worrying about my neck, and here's why though. Because there's this thing. Have you heard of this thing called tech neck?
Oh.
It's where you start to get lines right here. And I started noticing that, and I'm sure part of it is age too. But like, apparently this has become more and more of a thing where people are getting like lines on their neck because we're constantly looking down at our phones like this.
Exactly.
And it makes sense. So anyway, here's the thing. I am natural in the sense that I have not done any Botox or any filler. I honestly haven't even done like a laser procedure.
And you look great, Sierra. You don't, if you want my opinion, you don't need to do anything.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I told myself when I was 35, I would start Botox. And then I got to 35 and I was like, am I ready yet? I don't know if I want to go down this path. But I don't know if you can consider it natural because what I do is like a lot of serums, a lot of like, I do this red light mask that I have at home, and I use that on my face, and then I put it on my neck too because I'm now paranoid about my neck as I'm getting older.
Yeah.
And I just like take everything from the face down all the way to the décolletage area and everything because you can't forget the titties.
Oh, I forgot the décolletage. Now I'm really depressed.
I know.
I know.
The titties get old too, and that's scary. That's Sarah.
Oh yeah, there is that too.
But anyway, so yeah, I've been doing that for a while, and I've been doing red light therapy, and I do think that helps. And I honestly, I don't even think I can consider myself natural anymore because all of this stuff that I'm doing. I also tried facial cupping. Have you heard of this?
I haven't heard of facial cupping.
Okay. Are you aware what cupping is, like on your back?
I think I've heard about it.
You've seen people that have like the little puck marks on their back. It almost looks like bruises. So,
right.
Yeah. So cupping is like a practice. In general, cupping is where you essentially like create a light suction and your body thinks it's some form of like trauma. And then what it does is it sends a bunch of blood flow there. And then it like heals the area and hopefully sends up like collagen. And then also people use it if they have like really sore muscles or injuries, because the hope is that there will be a bunch of blood flow that goes there and try and like heal the muscle in some way. So for your face, you can do cupping, but it's more like fluid cupping where instead of like making marks, because no one wants like little dots on their face, it's like kind of pulling the skin in a way that's like lightly suctioning it up so that way you can get more blood flow. It's kind of the same thing as like gua sha. Like you've heard of like the lymphatic like
that movement. I've heard about.
Yeah. So like the whole idea that like with that movement you're both encouraging drainage of any excess fluid, but also getting some blood flow to your face so that way hopefully you get a little bit more like a youthful glow or like collagen stimulation or whatever it is.
And Sierra, I can't help but thinking there just isn't enough time to do all these things.
No, I know. That's what
isn't constantly. It so true that it's like there's so many things we could do. Like although that stuff sounds great, and I forget about it, and then I remember it, and then I try to do the different things.
Yeah.
And it's like it's just overwhelming. overwhelming.
It is. And honestly, I have to tell you, like, I go through stints. I have this little habit tracker. And I honestly think my skincare routine is the reason I started this habit tracker, because it is like all of these little wellness tips and tricks that you're supposed to do to like make sure that you're aging in the best way possible. It's exhausting. If I did every single night, every single one of these like steps, I think I would be in there for 30 minutes.
Well, you'd have to start at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Well, to be 100% honest with you, like, you know how you get home at the end of the day and you're like, maybe you just like sit down and you're like watching something on TV. If I sit for too long, like, I've learned I can't do my bedtime routine and my skincare routine right before bed because I'll get lazy and I'll just start like quickly going through it. So I have to like go do my skincare, then come back and then do something else and then like get that out of the way, so that way what I'm doing right before bed is just like brushing my teeth and maybe putting on a moisturizer or something like that. Because if I wait too long, I lose all motivation. And you're right, it takes way too long. And I'm certainly not doing that every night. Like, I don't even think you're supposed to be doing cupping every single night. I think you're supposed to do it like once every 3 days or something. But then that's hard to remember. Like, what am I going to do? Set an alarm for every 3 days? It's time to do cupping.
You see, I mean, we don't have time. We don't have time for anything else. You'd have to spend all your time doing that. You know, I was telling you about the frownies, the old school.
Oh yeah.
And if you've seen Sunset Boulevard.
Yes, a long time ago.
Okay,
yes.
Well, it's such a great movie, and Gloria Swanson is the aging actress, has sort of a has-been, past her prime, falls in love with a young guy who stays with her, blah blah blah, and then there's a scene where she has her frownies on, and there are these pieces of paper. I'm sure most people have heard of some version of the frownies, and they're just like little pieces of brown paper that have sticky on it, and you put it on your forehead and all over your face. And her whole face was covered with the frownies. And they've been around for 100 years. They started like 100 years ago.
I mean, there's something to it, right? Because the idea, it's like overnight Botox in a way. If you can like prevent your face from like any creases. There's so many things now, and I don't know why I'm so terrified of wrinkles. To be 100% honest with you, like, I don't notice them on other people. It's literally just me. And I think there's something kind of scary about looking in the mirror and you're like, when you kind of start to notice those things, are like, oh, my eyes look a little bit droopier than they were before. Or like my skin just doesn't look as, like, if you have a comparison to you in your 20s, which we should never compare ourselves to us in our 20s, all the people that are trying to fit in their jeans from when they were 20 years old, please stop. It's not worth it. It's a losing battle. But it is, you can't help but do it if like compare yourself to like a previous you. Because I surely don't notice it in other people.
Previous you, yeah.
It's like, I'm not looking at my friends and being like, oh, you looked a lot better when you were younger. I don't think about that.
And isn't that so funny? And wearing glasses now, I wear glasses all the time, partly for vanity, because it does hide the bags. That's my secret, you guys, because it does under your eyes on camera. You know, the bags show pretty much no matter what you do.
So far we've learned glasses, bangs, turtlenecks.
I'm like the old school version of doing this, and my glasses, they're pretty strong. I mean, I didn't wear glasses until I turned 40. I never needed glasses, but it's like your muscles age and whatever happens. Yeah. So, and then computers really kind of messed with my eyes. So, but what I realized was what you just said is like what we notice, other people don't notice.
No.
And so with glasses, I notice every little thing, every little speck, and I wonder about that. It's like what I see, like on my face, like lip wrinkles and all the different wrinkles. A lot of people don't see it as much as I think they do. So what do we do with that? How can we take that and move forward, I guess? And how can we make that influence our beauty routine?
I mean, step one, get rid of your magnifying mirror.
Yeah.
Like step one.
My friend has one.
I got rid of mine.
She uses it. I go, there's no way. She goes, yes, you have to look in this. It's my savior. I go, it's not mine.
Seems like
I'd rather put makeup on in the dark. Yeah. lives. And I've done that. I do admit I've done that.
No, I do have one little one, but it's literally only for like when I tweeze my brows or something like that. But other than that, I got rid of like the one that flips over and you can see everything. Because it's scary. And then I'll just sit there and stare and be like, oh, there's this little thing. And before you know it, I think that's what like gets people to like start picking at their skin too, when they see like these little like flaws that truly, if you just gave it time, your skin will heal itself. And that's the thing that I've also realized is like less is more as I've gotten older.
Definitely.
Because there was a time period, and I want to say this was probably in my mid-20s. I was living in New York at the time, and I wasn't working in fashion, but I had a lot of friends that were in the fashion industry. And so I think I was really around like a culture that always talking about the latest trends in skincare and the latest things in like fashion and all that sort of stuff. And there was one year where I decided I was going to do this like whole K-step Korean beauty, like Korean skincare like thing. And are you familiar with Korean beauty at all?
A little bit.
Okay,
yeah.
So they are really famous for having like 15 steps in their skincare routine. We're talking it's like a double cleanse plus a facial toner and an essence, which I think are kind of the same thing maybe. Like one's just like a spritz or something like that. But then you do all of that, and then there's also just like they like have steaming tools, and they also do face masks and all this sort of stuff. And there was one year where I did that, and I added so much into my skincare routine. And I made the mistake of adding a bunch of things all at the same time. Like you're supposed to, whenever you start something new in your skincare, you're supposed to wait 2 weeks and like just do that one thing and then see how your skin reacts to it. I don't think I followed that, but my skin freaked out. And it took a solid like 6 months to get it back to just homeostasis. And the only thing that worked was to like peel it back to the basics, like stop doing all of this extra stuff and just like focus on just like a face wash, some sort of moisturizer, maybe a serum.
And maybe I was just going to ask you, in all of our exploration of this, have you decided what you're going to do going forward?
I mean, I don't know. Okay, I'm still at the place where I don't think I will ever swear off a procedure, because I think if that's what you want to do, you should do it.
Yeah.
The place that I come to with it is I want to be really conscious of what I'm starting, because basically once you do it, it doesn't last forever. They say it wears off, depends on the person, but it can be like 3 months, 4 months, whatever. So it's this vicious cycle that you're really in. And I'm pretty open about the fact that like I've had like an eating disorder in the past. So body image is it's very much on the forefront in my mind. Thankfully, I've been, in recovery since I was like 18. So it's been a long time that I've been, past that part of my life. But it does make you very aware of your relationship to things. And I worry about starting something like that and getting, for lack of a better term, addicted to that first look, right? Like when it's first fresh. And then if the freshness starts to sort of fade away, feeling like I need to do it right as soon as those 4 months are done in order to feel good about myself. I want to be really conscious of the fact that if I am going to do something like that, that I'm really aware of how it's making me feel about my self-image. Because, I mean, that's a big investment, and it also ultimately probably changes the way that you see yourself.
Absolutely, and I think that affects your beauty. I just had another thought of another beauty thing that I do. Simple is whiten my teeth with this.
Oh, yeah.
I just think those simple things. But I do, in all seriousness, Sierra, this whole subject and looking at the whole thing of beauty and younger people and what's happening, I go back to my sort of, I guess it's my living on the planet longer than you, longer than a lot of people. I've learned how important it is to really be happy inside, and how much that affects our beauty.
Yeah.
And I'm all in to do stuff, do whatever, do what you want to do. But I also think that's a piece of it.
Oh, 100%. I think, so I used to get lash extensions, and I have fake lashes on right now, but I used to get lash extensions. And the truth is that I would consider myself at least by LA and New York standards, maybe not by middle America, I would consider myself like a low maintenance beauty person. I'm not a big makeup person. I've never had acne, so I've been really blessed to have good skin. And I think that makes it a lot easier to say that I'm not a big makeup person. So I'm not knocking people who are makeup people, and especially people who have dealt with like acne and stuff. I get why people are like really big on makeup and like to spruce themselves up in that way to make themselves feel better. I get it. For me, I've never been a big makeup person. And I've also, because of that, have sort of like, therefore, never really needed to accentuate anything too much, except for my eyelashes. I have very like straight down eyelashes. I don't know how to describe them. Like, even if I use like a curler and like mascara, they immediately just start to like fall flat. It's very similar to like Asian eyelashes that like just are impossible to get to stay curled. So I've always done lash extensions. Like, I think from the time that I was maybe 22 or so, there was a period of time in my life for like maybe like 6 or 7 years where I pretty much had lash extensions the whole time, sans maybe like a month here or there that I just gave my lashes a break. And then like maybe a year ago, my lash lady went on maternity leave. And I was like, I'm gonna take this opportunity to take a break from lashes and kind of reset it, because I noticed anytime that I took a break, or even when my lashes were starting to sort of like be sparse with the extensions, I like wanted to cover it up, because I was so used to waking up feeling like I had a full face of makeup. When you have a full set of lashes on, you kind of look like you wake up with a full set of makeup on. And I got to the point where I was like, I don't want to feel like I have to wake up and immediately look dolled up. This seems like a really bad road, slippery slope to like go down, to feel like I have to look like that immediately upon waking up.
And and you know what? It's kind of a metaphor for all of beauty.
Oh, 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like what it can do, and how you have to feel like you have to keeping up with it.
Yes, that's what I'm
and
afraid of.
Do you lose yourself in it? Do we lose ourselves in all of this?
Right. And so that's what I am, when I'm thinking about going on this. I think I would start, if I were going to do anything, I think I would start with Botox, because I am starting to, I will say, I'm not very expressive in my forehead to begin with, but like here, I'm starting to see a little bit of, and that's what I think I would maybe start with if and when I do that. But it's that question that you just asked, is like, where does it start to change your perception of yourself, and being aware of that? I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but am I gonna start feeling, once I get Botox, like if I don't have Botox, I don't like myself, or I don't look as attractive as I could be? And that's where I start to get really scared, because as soon as I start to change the perception I have of my own beauty and accepting where I am along that process, like, I'm just trying to be conscious of that and try and manage that situation in a non-careless way of just jumping in and being like, okay, I'm gonna get Botox because it's safe, and I think it's safe. For most people, it's probably pretty safe.
It's been around a while. So.
Yeah, it's been around a while, so it's probably pretty safe. And it's like widely accepted. Everyone's talking about it, and everybody's talking about it as an anti-aging thing too. And it's just, I remember, you probably remember this too, but like back in like the early 2000s, like the heyday of like the Britney Spears and all, and like, you know, all of those major like celebrities that are now in their like 40s, 50s, whatever, everybody denied having any work done. And now it's like widely talked about and accepted, and everybody is doing it. Like, there's no longer this elitism, right, of it's just reserved for the stars. It's just so widely accepted amongst everybody. And that's a very different, if you think about it, that's a very different switch in culture, because now we're saying it's totally okay to want to change yourself and want to look like something else. And that's widely acceptable. Which, okay, cool. Go you if that's what you want to do. But then there's still the other realm where it's like, what if you don't want to do that?
And I do wonder, okay, so you get all the work done. Let's say you're in your 20s, you're in your 30s. You get all this work done, and then what? And I would love to know, and we'll have to do this, hear from women who have done this in their 20s and 30s, those generations. And I guess you're millennial, so it's your generation, but then the Gen Zers, and find out how they feel about it. Are they happy? Are they truly happy? Is it just, does it make their life so much better or not?
Yeah. And is it for you? Right? Is it for you, or is it for
that's
the sake
true.
of fitting in, or because you feel like, you know, men or women will be more attracted to you in that respect? I mean, I don't know. We have our producer here, Greg.
Yes, we have a male
We would love
in
to
the
get
house.
a male perspective on this. Like, do men care about that? Do they care if someone's gotten work done, or is there like a tipping point where it's too much work?
You're asking specifically, do men care that if women have had a lot of work done? Or
is it like secondary question, is it taboo if a man sees another man get work done?
Well, to answer the first part, I think there's just personal preferences. Like, I know some guys who actually really like women with a lot of work done. They love the look, the fake lips, the fake boobs, like the more the better, almost, it seems. And then then you get, you have your people who prefer just all natural. They don't want any part of that. And then there's people who kind of just like, you don't really care, or one way or another, or some combination in between, which is probably that's where I think I personally fall. It's like, I think when it's tasteful and deliberate.
Deliberate.
I think it can go off the rails really quick. As you were talking about. But there's an audience for that. So, like, I know people who it's like every woman they date, like, they clearly have a type. And
Greg, I want to meet some of these guys who want women that are totally...
we live in Los Angeles, so you have a good chance of running into
Yeah, I'm sure you have met some.
I've never realized is that there are men who actually prefer it. I always think when somebody's really had a lot of stuff done that they just go along with it. Men will go along with it. I didn't realize that there was a preference.
Yeah.
To that point, though, I have seen on social media this sort of trend where people are like, what men think they're saying when they say they want someone who's natural. And it's someone that has, like, the natural looking makeup, but they still look done up. And then it's like they'll show a picture of like what natural actually is. So I wonder sometimes, though, like even what men deem, like if a man says that he's not into somebody who has like all of that work done, but like, some of these women are probably doing like laser facials and all these sorts of things. Like that's not really natural at the end of the day. There's still like work done there, and there's nothing wrong with that. But like, it's not the same as saying like, I want someone who's natural and doesn't do all of that things. I think we just got to be honest about what everybody gets a little help. Okay. Everybody, regardless of what your level of help is.
Yeah. And I was just thinking about like Hollywood and Sarah Jessica Parker and all the grief she's getting, and the same as Kristen Davis, Charlotte, my favorite show, one of my favorite shows.
Oh yeah,
I know it by heart.
It's a classic.
But how she's with the new show, how she's getting grief about how she's aging, and then there are people like Justine Bateman who's coming out saying, I'm not doing anything. And Paulina Poroskova, they're on that bandwagon. So there's a lot of different things happening right now.
Yeah.
Around aging and beauty.
Well, I think we're starting to see the people that are like finally getting to the point where they're like, I'm not playing this game anymore. And I wonder if, obviously I'm not some like major starlet, right? But like, I wonder if that must be exhausting if you've been under the microscope for so long and you've been getting these procedures for so long that eventually you get to the point where you're like, enough. I don't want to I don't want to be on this train anymore. Right?
I mean, I have to say for me, there's a part of me that just says, I have to say, I when I look and I see my skin looking pretty smooth from what I'm doing, it feels good.
Yeah.
It does feel good. I admit it. I mean, it's not that I wouldn't do anything, but there is another part of me, the older I get, where it's like, God, what if we just didn't care? And there's been all this stuff written and talked about caring less. The less you care, the happier you are.
Yeah.
And obviously not about some important things, but just in general.
Well, because I think we're getting to the point, and maybe we have been here for a long time, but I think we're getting to the point where we're just setting unrealistic standards of what aging looks like.
Yes.
It's just, if you think about this, all of these people, and it's a little bit better now because people are being more honest and transparent about what they're doing versus back in the early 2000s when people are like, I haven't gotten any work done. Okay. But I think we've made progress in that we're being more transparent about it, but it's still not realistic that when we're looking at a Nicole Kidman who is stunning, right? And she's in her, 50s? And when we're looking at her and expecting that that's what someone that age looks like, it's not realistic. Mm-hmm. It's just not. And so, the trickle-down effect is then I think you're getting these 20-year-olds who are so terrified to find a wrinkle that it's spooky season is upon us and wrinkles are the enemy. That's really what it is.
Exactly.
And I don't know. I don't know that there is really any way around that. That's just kind of what we're in.
And I don't know what the answer is. Because I'm in a different generation. And I know women in my generation still, they want to look good, and they look good. They look a whole lot better than our parents. Our parents didn't do that. It wasn't done.
Yeah.
So it was a different world. But I do think that the less we care, I think it's about being healthy. I think it's about exercise and all those other things, the things without all this, and then you can add that. But I think, and it really does come down to how happy you are. If you aren't happy, you aren't going to look good.
Right. No amount of fixing your face in whatever way you think needs to be done is going to eventually make you happy.
So so this whole comparison and feeling like you got to look like the way Nicole Kidman looks in her 50s is, boy, that's a lot to keep up with.
Right. And so it seems like there's almost like two enemies, right? It's like comparison of your younger self.
Yeah, exactly.
Number one. And number two is comparison of everybody else of what somebody your age looks like somewhere else that has completely different skin than you, a completely different background, probably a completely different health record,
Exactly. I was thinking, Sierra, I have to get my new license. I think I have to get the new picture next year. And this is a 10-year-old picture. I'm dreading that. I have to admit.
Oh, no.
And when I went to get that picture done, and it is a cute picture, I had him retake it. They don't do it normally. I just asked him, and I kind of posed, and they don't really like you to do that. But it came out really good, and I'm dreading the new picture. Isn't that so? It's just part of being human, I think.
Yeah.
And I think it's how we navigate it.
Right. So this is where I'm at this point where I'm trying to, I guess, pick the path that's going to allow me to accept whatever comes my way in terms of aging, right?
Exactly.
Because I'm not saying I'm off the cliff already, but we're getting
Sierra,
I
have to say to you right now, as an older person, you look great.
Oh, thanks.
I just want you to know that. I'm saying it for everyone,
great too, Tracy.
But you really do. And you know what it is? Your skin looks gorgeous and all of that, the physical, but it's also your energy. And I just see, and you make the case. You make the case because people are going to look at you at 35 and say, okay, it's still not too late to have stuff done. For me, it's another, I don't know, I look to my mother and go, she's 95 and she looks pretty great, even though she has wrinkles and she still is considered this very attractive woman.
Yeah.
But you look great.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
We're trying to hold on to it as long as possible.
And smiling is...
Oh, smiling.
And Greg has great teeth. We can't see Greg. Can we see Greg? He has great teeth.
Just close up on the pearly white.
Very white teeth. But smile is important. So so it's almost like we have to get to those basics. Maybe that's the secret. Maybe we can do this by the show.
Yeah.
Maybe by just our insights, and maybe younger women can look at all of this and say, well, wait a minute.
Yeah. And I think
maybe
just not being afraid of having a flaw. That's
not being, oh, you said
this
it.
whole glass skin phenomena that everybody's wanting, which, you know what? Great skin goals. It's great to have goals in life, but let's not make ourselves feel bad if we don't have that, because I don't think it is realistic to constant. That's like saying to somebody who has a six-pack, it's realistic for them to have a six-pack all year round. That takes a lot of hard work and dedication and time, and like all of these things have to fall in place. And the same with, I would argue, probably our skin. Like when I'm on my period, my skin looks like shit. That's just how it is. And like when I'm ovulating, my skin looks fantastic. And that's called nature.
Wait, hold on. I have to think back to what that was like. I mean, you have to laugh. You gotta. Oh, that's the other beauty secret.
Laughing.
Having a sense of humor.
Yeah.
I know it sounds trite, and I know you guys are probably going to roll your eyes. I get it, but honestly, I think that's a part of it.
Yeah.
And also not taking yourself too seriously.
Oh yeah.
And being able to have fun with yourself and not being that too serious person and stress. You know, stress is going to age you. We know that. The stress will age you.
That's true. So if you're stressing about your skin all the time,
then what good is it?
I know. I think about that a lot too. Is like, I don't know. Okay, this is. I hate even admitting this because it's such a bad movie, but my favorite movie is Valley of the Dolls.
Love it.
The one with Sharon Tate.
I love it.
And what's her name? Patty, is it? Oh, shoot, I can't remember her name. But anyway, that's my favorite movie. And one of my favorite moments in that movie is when Sharon Tate's character, she gets a call from her mother and her mom's asking her if she's like doing her skincare and doing like her boob exercises.
I forgot about that.
Something about the exercises that she's doing so that way they don't droop. And she like comes in from like a night at the club and she's like gets on the phone with her mom and she's just you can tell that like she's upset about the fact that her mom just thinks like beauty is the only thing she has going for her. And then she starts to do like the little exercises and she goes, oh, to hell with them. Let them droop. And like that's how I feel sometimes about my face. Like, oh, the hell with it. As if I don't want to spend 30 minutes a night stressing out about it and worrying about this like little wrinkle.
Honestly, Sierra, I think that's the beauty secret.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
And it's not so easy to. It is easy and it's not easy.
Yeah.
And to just really say, okay, just let it go.
Yeah.
Is add that. We got to add that to our beauty routines.
Just let it go.
Just let it go. Just say that in the mirror. Let it go.
I know. It's so true. I want to talk because I think that there's a lot going on right now in Hollywood, specifically talking about women getting older and standards of it. There's that movie, The Idea of You with Anne Hathaway and A Family Affair with Nicole Kidman that came out, and they're featuring older women. Again, Anne Hathaway, Nicole Kidman, some of the most gorgeous women in Hollywood, but older women with younger men. And I think it's an interesting dynamic because, first of all, it wouldn't even be a script if it was the other way around, where
exactly.
it was an older man and a younger woman. I don't even think that
it would just
really
be part of the story.
Right. But it is interesting and it's really cool that we're finally having some storylines that are like that. And then you have something like The Substance.
Okay.
What's Demi Moore? Which is a totally different take on the conversation. Right. Not at all in respect to like a love story or honestly even just like women in a romantic situation at all. It's more just talking about aging. And I don't know, what are your thoughts on like any of these? Like, are we actually making progress here or not at all?
I think the fact that these movies are out and getting good reviews and getting talked about is great. And that means we are making progress. I think, yeah, like just like you said, the older women, The Idea of You and A Family Affair, it wouldn't be a story if it was an older man and younger woman, but that's nothing new. That's right. Always been there, and it always will be. It's just the way it is. But it has changed that these leading roles, these women have leading roles, are older women and younger guys. And so I think it's good. I think it's good. And I love those movies. The Substance was, I don't want to do a spoiler, but it was pretty gory and had a totally different we'll say, message.
Yeah.
I think that, to me, I would have picked a different way to go about the ending, but I know they did it on purpose. I won't say what it is, but what she does is she goes as far as you could possibly go. I mean, and not in real life, you don't even go that far. There isn't the substance yet.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe there's one in the works. But does she really prevail? The problem I had is that is she looked upon as claiming her age in the end and really saying, hey, I'm not putting up with this, or did it destroy her? And I don't want to spoil it, but that's the issue, the challenge that I have with it. And it's a wonderfully made movie. Let me just say, fantastic.
So what's interesting is if you put all those movies together, right? Like two of them are this like traditional rom-com. The truth is that in the rom-com ones, the women are kind of owning their age. It's really interesting because they're not hiding away from it or trying to act younger than they actually are. In fact, I would argue that in both of those movies, they're actively fighting acting younger. And being drawn into trying not to act their age.
I think you make a great point. That's a great point.
And so I think in that way, it is kind of cool. It's empowering in that sense. I loved that in those movies that they didn't try and hide the fact that these women were older. They tried. It was like more about embracing it. And I think you're right. I think the substance is a very different context, right? Like that's a different type of movie than this. It almost doesn't even deserve to be in the same conversation. But I think that was far more talking about a portrayal of how women are seen as they get older in Hollywood and the pressures. I mean, specifically towards women, right? I think that's what it was geared toward. This idea as you get older that you just go poof, you just disappear, and nobody wants to pay attention to you anymore. And it's about the hot young thing that comes in. And I think that has luckily, like even just looking at the fact that these movies are made, like there are now more roles for older women that are opening up in Hollywood.
Which is definitely
right.
That has changed.
And that's progress at the end of the day. But we still are battling this idea that, again, that these are even Demi Moore in that movie, even though she was supposed to be aged out, she looked phenomenal.
Exactly.
If you watch the trailer and where she's like doing all of the dancing and stuff like that, she looks amazing in that movie and is so fit. She's supposed to be like a fitness instructor. And so we're talking like prime human that is supposed to be healthy and beautiful and then still getting kicked out of Hollywood, right? I don't know, Greg, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, great movie. I loved every second of it.
All the gore. Greg, you could handle all the gore?
Yeah. I mean, to me, it was just an interesting, like, the exploration of the idea, as it pertains to, I mean, anyone can really relate, but women especially, this, like, everything you guys are talking about. You're getting older and you're trying to cling to the youth. And then this movie literally pits the two against each other in a physical way where she has this, for anyone who doesn't know what it's about, I mean, the substance, you can create this younger version of yourself. It's you, but it's the younger version, like a clone basically, but you're supposed to switch off every week. And of course the younger person keeps being like, maybe I'll let her sleep for another few days, whatever. And every time she does that, something bad kind of happens to the older person. And to me, it's like, that's almost the, like this Botox and filler and procedure type thing is like you're clinging to this youth and you're like, maybe I'll just like push it a little further away, a little further, keep maybe I'll just do a little bit more. You get more and more addicted to that younger self. And then in the end, like if you take it too far, become a total monster, which is what happens in this movie.
And you lose control at some point. I think you lose control over your own mind at some point. Your own ability to accept you for you, I think slowly starts to fade away. And I'm sure it's not the case for everybody, but I would ask anybody who's been doing that for a long time, would you be okay if you just were told that you suddenly had to stop? Or would you have a full-on like mental crisis happening? And I think that's an important question to ask yourself.
How far would we go?
Well, also just, I mean, you hear about people that do have like, they've been getting Botox forever and then suddenly they have a bad reaction and they can no longer get Botox. And I've watched a number of influencers actually who have gone through that, who have had some serious freak out moments of like, well, what do I do now? I'm like terrified of aging. And like, here was this thing that I was doing.
And so this movie kind of is making our whole conversation is how far would we go and what do we do now at that point? And it's a cautionary tale. I mean, that's an understatement, right? This movie is a cautionary tale. I mean, it's very metaphorical. It's how far, that's what we're looking at. How far will we go? If young women in their 20s are doing all this stuff to themselves and getting all these treatments, and then you have this movie that takes it way
to the extreme.
And I loved Dennis Quaid played the perfect
evil man. Just everything about him in that was just gross.
And he played it perfectly.
He did real well.
But it is a serious question of how far will we go and how addicted are we getting to looking young
and losing yourself in that process, right? Because I think that's the most important thing is like, what's the relationship that you have with yourself while you're on this journey? And like, whatever, again, like, I don't think I will ever like be 100% against getting any of those things, unless it comes out that suddenly like we're injecting like cancer into ourselves or something. But like, I am for doing that. And I can't say that I will never do it. I probably will try it at some point. But just like, once you get on that train, it's really easy for it to just keep going, and then you to kind of lose yourself in the process, I think. And so being aware of that I think that was probably perfectly what that movie described, is like, be aware of your relationship to this. Don't forget that you're still in there somewhere.
Yeah, you're still in there.
That's still in there.
Really good point.
And like, the real you is in there, and you've got to pay attention to that too. You can't just completely hide.
And you know what, Sierra? It seems like being in my generation and being older, as I now have to call myself, I just think things change.
Yeah.
Your priorities change. Of course I want to look good, and I don't want to I'm not one of those people that, I want to live to be 100 no matter what. No way. I want to, if it's a quality life and you're healthy. I mean, obviously things happen as we age, and some people don't have good luck. Some people have whatever. So it can be a very, very hard path. And we want to be vital.
Yeah.
We want to be vibrant.
Yeah.
We want to matter. We really want to matter. And I think it really is such an important time for women anyway, just on the planet. It's an important time, and it's a time for us to be as powerful as we can be and not let all the beauty stuff take over.
100%.
And we just claim it. Like I wanted to see, my ending would have been different, but obviously they've done something right. They're getting 11 minutes of applause at Cannes.
Yeah.
It's Oscar buzz.
It spoke to a lot of people. I can say that.
And you know what the great thing is about that, which is what we're about? It's the conversation.
Yeah.
We're talking about it, and other people are talking about it, and that is huge.
Yeah, if it can just put an inkling of a thought that maybe you should think about it and consider how beauty standards and that idea of being perfect, and even not just being perfect, but also loving the attention when you look a certain way, like understanding your own relationship to that, I think is a lot. I'm curious, Tracy, like, do you feel like it was like a gradual process for you to get to like where you are today with your beauty, or do you think there was like a switch?
I think so, and I still struggle. I mean, I admit I'm flawed, and it's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
I go from, worrying about, do I look good enough? Like even today, thank goodness that we have such an excellent lighting person, not only producer and director, and he's Greg Wonder for a good reason. Yeah. But having all the lighting, I mean, in my book, if if the lighting in life could always be at dusk, that golden time, that would be great.
I know, right?
I would love that and never be in bad lighting again. So, I mean, see, there's a part of me that I want to look good. I want to feel good. I want to feel vibrant. But I also want to make sure that the person on the inside keeps growing. So how long did it take me? I'm a work in progress.
Yeah.
I just am. And the best thing I can do is sort of throw it back to other generations and say, okay, here's what I've learned.
Yeah.
But I can learn from you, though. See, I'm learning from you and your generation.
Well, I'm still in the thick of accepting.
I want to see what happens. I want to see what, in fact, you should, try stuff and then share it with us. So we know, because I think the best thing, getting into just a little nitty gritty about beauty products, I think when you hear it from other people and they try stuff, because there's so many things, right? Mm-hmm. You can't, it's like, how do you even begin to choose? But when you have an experience or you hear somebody who says, like my castor oil, I'm swearing by this stuff and it doesn't cost very much money. It's cheap and it's good for you. Yeah. And I'm happy with it. I've been doing it for 6-8 months. So that's one example.
Yeah. And I think part of the confusion now is that everybody is there's so many options. There's so many new procedures. And I mean, like, Botox, filler, and like laser treatments are like the baseline. Like those are the top 3 that people are doing, but there's so many new procedures that are out there that people are swearing by. And like, I mean, you can't really like go on any celebrity gossip website without seeing or talking about what somebody had done or what the latest coolest procedure is that people are doing in Hollywood. And I think it's really easy to get drawn into that and just think, well, this is the thing, this is the cure-all, this is the magic pill or the substance that's going to like fix all of my problems. And I just, it's a rat race that like, I don't know.
It is.
Once you get on that train, it's really easy to just keep going and you're looking for the next best thing. And it's a scary thing to think about,
Well, I can't wait to see what happens, Sierra. I can't wait
if I try Botox.
What are you going to try? And maybe I'll try some of this stuff.
I still have not decided whether or not I'm going to get it. I don't think I'm going to get it this year. I think I'm going to wait, but I'm not saying never. I'm inching into it. I'm wading into the water, just trying to make sure that the way that I go into it, it's fully my decision. It's not me feeling like I'm comparing myself to previous me or something I want to be. It's just, making the choice based off of how I want to age. So
that sounds like a good plan to me.
Thanks. We'll see how it goes. All right. Any final thoughts other than that, Tracy?
Oh, I've loved this conversation. The only final thought I have is about the substance and how the reaction's going to be and the conversation's going to be. I'm really curious about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how, like, our conversation, I mean, we want to push the conversation forward. We want people to continue talking about this, and we want to hear what other people think.
Yeah.
And I think that is so helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you guys are listening or watching, please leave comments down below. Let us know your thoughts. Thanks for coming along with us today. If you'd like to hear more, check us out on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Along Podcast. And make sure you give us a follow on whatever platform you're listening or watching on today. Bye.
Bye.